Well, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday I covered the US European Union trade deal, and we're seeing the reaction from press people and from trade experts here today, and people are just shocked. I mean, you've got people asking at some of these press conferences, where are the US concessions? The EU gives up everything, the US doesn't give up anything, and this is just the reality when you negotiate with Trump and the United States when it comes to trade. Same thing with the Japanese, and there's going to be very little concessions from the opposing side because of the United States, because of how good Trump is as a negotiator, because how powerful we are as a country, because of the relationship that these countries want to have with us. We are already starting on unequal fields when you're talking about negotiations. And so when you've got someone like Trump who's been involved with negotiations his entire life as an elite businessman, you're going to get some pretty crazy situations like this to where you've got people saying, well, I mean, there's a negotiation. So the EU gives up some stuff, the United States gives up some stuff. No, it's just a major investment into US energy. We have a significant leverage play over the European countries with their reliance on Russian energy. Trump exploits it. And now we've got, I mean, I think Trump said it's getting remarkable. There are now liberals throwing in the white towel saying we lost the tariff fight because they came out originally. They said it's going to be inflationary. It's not going to be good. It's going to be a tax against the consumer. And now they're saying this is crazy. We're raising like 30 trillion or $15 trillion in overall revenue and investments with these trade deals, because you have to understand when you're talking about levying tariffs against basically every single country, if those tariffs are to come off or are to come down, and now Trump has a sweet spot 15% tariff on the EU with, by the way, no tariff on us. If the tariffs are to be removed, there's going to have to be a negotiation with practically everyone. And so during those negotiations, because of the situation we have right now with the United States and how powerful we are and how we've got the #1 overall military, everybody wants to be our friend no matter what. Of course, the liberals will say, well, Trump is a laughingstock. Nobody likes him. Well, they don't like him because the gravy train has stopped and Trump is more isolationist. He's more America first. Of course, these countries are not going to like Trump. Trump wants what's best for the United States, not what's best for the United Kingdom. So they'll like Biden because he gives away stuff and he's a lot more of a globalist, team-oriented guy. Of course you would like that if you're another country. Why would you like somebody that just cares about their own country that doesn't benefit you at all? But the reality is Trump is making separate deals with all these countries, and we're negotiating to a point to where they're committing major investment into the United States, or else the tariffs will remain on. And in most cases, they just can't afford that. And so that's why we're seeing these ridiculously one-sided trade deals to where they're all admitting it and they're saying, yeah, this is remarkable what Trump is doing. And people are exclaiming, Trump has beaten the tariffs. Everyone said they'd be inflationary. I think we need to wait a little bit because of the lag effect that these can have in terms of, we'll see. I agree with Trump, and I said it's more strategic. People said this is all random. Well, no, it's strategic. You have to tariff all the countries at a high rate to get them to the negotiating table. Then they negotiate. You negotiate it down, and it's 15, 20%, maybe 30%, 40% with the smaller countries. And now you have a situation to where you will rake in money, you'll rake in the tariff revenue, and you'll also have a situation to where you will produce more domestically, because that's the #1 thing with tariffs, and that's kind of where we started at with the idea of them. Well, we want more manufacturing in the United States. You look at lower quality jobs, the retail job boom that we've seen in the US. I mean, these are lower quality. We want the manufacturing jobs back. People say, well, AI will take it. Well, in some cases, the physical labor is nuanced and the AI can't do it, especially these first generation robots that are going to be coming out in the next decade. So this is all big stuff. But the point is, we have such a leverage and negotiation advantage over all of these countries, like a Japan, like the European Union. It's going to be seen as wins for Trump as long as he's a hard negotiator. And a lot of these people, like the trade experts, like, wait, where's the concessions from the United States? This is the EU giving up everything. They're getting hit with the tariffs. They're investing $750 billion into the United States. Well, yes, they have to have a relationship with us. They have no choice based on how powerful we are. This is just extracting maximum value from a country by Trump in the United States. And that's just the reality of it. So you have this, you have Look at this. Now we've got this update. Trade deal with Europe, trade deal with Japan, record high NASDAQ, S&P 500, lower inflation. Yeah, people will say, well, it's not lower inflation. Well, yes, it is. You're just not in, people don't understand how you read core inflation and how it's a moving average based off of 12 months ago. It's a rolling average. So it is lower inflation. It has been 4 out of 5 months lower than the expected number printed. Now they say, well, that's lag because they front ran all the tariffs with the imports. And really, if it's only a 20 or 15% tariff, a lot of the times that's not going to really show up. And so that'll be just free money. And people say, well, who pays for it? Well, it's two parties are mainly paying for it right now. Number one, it's actually the countries of origin, the countries that are trading with the United States. They will have to lower their labor costs to be able to be attractive. Think about a lot of these smaller countries that have to rely on the U.S. consumer base. They're very desperate, and they're saying, well, listen, if we want to be more attractive to the U.S. corporations who are buying from us now that they're getting saddled with this tariff, we need to lower our costs even more. So they'll lower them, or you're going to have the corporations within the United States lowering their margins. Basically, they're going to have to pay a tax, and they're not going to raise their prices because hopefully, and it doesn't always work out like this, there are pitfalls to capitalism, but hopefully there will be a competitive market that will not allow prices to be driven up. Because if you're one of these companies and you're getting hit with this tariff and you say, well, it's a 20% tariff, so I'm going to raise my prices by 20%. Well, that really doesn't work if other companies within your same sector are not doing that. You're going to price yourself out of the market. That's the hope. I mean, it doesn't always work like that, but that's why the tariff increase would not happen. Liberals basically say, well, if there is a 30% increase in terms of a tariff that a corporation is paying from a country, like let's say Thailand gets hit with a 30% tariff and there's a sector that gets all their produce from Thailand, then that means it's going to go up by 30%. That's not how it works. It's not linear like that. So I'm just explaining what it is. Largest middle class tax cut in history, $4 trillion. Yeah, they're talking about trillions of dollars invested. I mean, that's through these tariffs and how Trump is able to extract this money. It's other countries investing into the United States in exchange for lower tariff rates and to have a good relationship with the United States, be cordial with the country. And so you've got all this other, I mean, this is great stuff, but the stuff I want to mainly focus on is the trade situation in this video specifically. I mean, yes, the border closing. How about the foreign numbers? This is a net negative. This is remarkable what Trump is doing. They say it's a 1.3 million net negative with the deportations and with the border expulsions. And it's unbelievable when you look at what he's doing at the border. And I know people are angry about the deportations, but, you know, we just got the budget and you know, that's going to be going into effect, I think, within the coming months. So I would hope the deportations would wrap up for sure. You also have Keir Starmer, who is asked about free speech. Let's take a look at this. Or I guess Trump was asked about it.
What's important to free speech today?
Well, free speech is very important. I don't know if you're referring to any place in particular. Perhaps they are, but
we've had free speech for a very, very long time here, so we're very proud.
Yeah, they don't have free speech on the internet, and you have Americans now showing how censored X is when you go to the UK. And I mean, I guess you could use a VPN, but it's insane. The UK just lowered their voting age to 16. They don't have any free speech on the internet. These kids are shielded to the mainstream media. And so it's very sad. And it's not surprising they develop the thoughts that they have in terms of this openness to immigration. I think a lot of them probably don't even know true demographical numbers and demographical change and the lower life quality that certain liberal policies, the Labour Party, for example, of the UK, bring into the equation. But even Starmer now, I think they've admitted they've lost the immigration battle, at least to a degree. Trump is on video saying it's so important. I mean, I think it's right here. Trump talking about immigration, saying you're not going to have a Europe left. I mean, it's absolutely correct. Saying other countries don't send their best people. I mean, at a certain point, you just got to shut immigration down completely. If you're the UK, they have the issue where boats come over and they're forced to take them. And I think they're changing that policy maybe, although there's more conservative people in the UK that say no, that when the boats come over, they still allow them. I mean, it's just, this is such routine stuff. You figure this would be changed decades ago, but this is just what I would call modern liberalism run amok, where the country it's changing based off of the immigration, and there's no reaction to that. If there is a reaction to that to say, hey, we don't want these people in our country, you're immediately labeled a racist. So the country must change and become third world, or otherwise you'll be labeled a racist. Well, I mean, you can see, you can understand the issue right there. Now, it's not surprising that Starmer would do this and put up this front when we know in terms of social media, and it's kind of what they hide behind. They say, well, it's the internet, even though the internet is becoming extremely important when it comes to spreading ideas, maybe even more so than just normal. I mean, I would certainly say you can reach more people on the internet, and it's more powerful at this point. Everyone has a phone, and they say, well, that's not covered under free speech, and so that's why they can restrict it. And so, well, then just say you don't have free speech. I mean, the internet is the number one most important thing when it comes to the spread of political ideas at this point. And so if you don't have free speech there, you really don't have free speech in general. That's just an adaptation of what free speech should be. And that's kind of what Elon Musk did in the United States, and it changed things for the better in terms of we're seeing other platforms now, not to the same degree, but I'll tell you what, one of the platforms that's really bad with free speech, I know, is TikTok. TikTok is terrible. I'm surprised people are still able to use TikTok, but I know TikTok is really bad. YouTube, but we went through that period around 2021, 2022. If you said anything about COVID or something, people were afraid to say the word COVID on streams because they would say it would be detected through YouTube's manual audio system, and it would devalue the view in the algorithm, or the video in the algorithm. That's how bad it had gotten. And obviously you couldn't say anything about that. You couldn't say anything about January 6th, the George Floyd to BLM. And so with Musk buying X, it's kind of opened things up a little bit more in the United States to where we're seeing some of these social medias be a little bit more lenient. To what degree? I mean, that's debatable. Some more than others. Obviously, X probably the most out of all of them, outside of something like Rumble. I'm sure there's other smaller players. But you also have, I think there was a Trump talking about maybe his platform being censored, Truth Social being censored in the UK.
There are new powers here to censor your site, states mandated powers.
To censor my site?
To censor your site and Twitter
Truth?
and Facebook.
Truth?
I mean Truth. Is that okay?
Well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I say only good things. Will you please uncensor my site?
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone.
Will you please uncensor my site?
We've got some measures which are there to protect children, in particular from sites like suicide sites. We've had too many cases in the United Kingdom of young.
Well, this is an interesting thing as Starmer tries to divert this to protecting children. I believe it was the Conservative Party that introduced this legislation that would restrict things online. But from what I can tell is the Labour Party, the way in which it was implemented was very disingenuous from the original purpose of it, to where now they're censoring a lot of political stuff. And so they say, well, it's for young kids and it's protecting them, when it's a lot of political stuff or right-wing stuff being censored. So, that's normally how it goes. They say, well, we're censoring stuff. And obviously that lady, I wonder if that is true, where Truth Social is actually censored. It wouldn't surprise me. Why else would that lady bring it up? She's like, your site is censored. Trump's like, would you uncensor my site? I mean, it probably is being censored. But, yeah, guys, I mean, this is a great situation in terms of this trade stuff. I mean, we'll see how it works out. There's still the heavy tariff on Brazil. There's higher tariffs on many other smaller countries, whether or not those will be worked out. I mean, you still have technically a trade deal to be worked out with China. Trump said, well, the deal is basically in place. It just has to come together. And there's another update here that I wanted to get to, talking about Trump being upset with Putin. So Trump put a 50-day period on, 50-day ultimatum for sanctions, supposedly heavy sanctions on Russia and Putin. And Trump says, I'm going to reduce it because he knows that there's going to be no agreeing. And I'm sure he's talked to a lot of these European countries about where Putin's head's at, and it's just, there's not going to be an agreement. So Trump is saying, I'm going to reduce that possibly maybe to 30 days to 20 days. I don't know exactly, but obviously it's less than 50 days at this point because he put the ultimatum in about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I don't remember. But with Putin, it's just, it looks like there's going to be heavy sanctions against them, and you have to be concerned about crude oil, depending on what type of sanctions Trump decides to levy against them. But that's just the situation. The Russia situation seems like it's going to get worse before it gets better in terms of that war and what Russia wants and what the West wants, and some type of agreement, some type of peace deal. It's very convoluted. But either way, guys, make sure you like the video down below. That's going to do it for this one. Also, follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.